guest wrote a very bold op-ed about the political machine that's out there fighting the success of these up-and-coming outsider candidates who are running for office in 2016. You just heard from one of them, Senator Rand Paul. This guest wrote, "But for once, the powerful socialist cabal and the corrupt crony capitalists are scared. I've never seen them this outraged, this vicious, this motivated, this coordinated. Never in all my years in politics have I seen anything like the way the mad dogs of hell have been unleashed on Donald Trump." When white extremist David Duke ran for governor of Louisiana, even he wasn't treated with this kind of outrage, vitriol, and disrespect. When a known fraud, scam artist, and tax cheat like Al Sharpton ran for president, I never saw anything remotely close to this. The over-the-top reaction to Trump by politicians of both parties, the media, and the biggest corporations of America has been so swift and insanely angry that it suggests they're all threatened and frightened like never before. That is a bold op-ed. Joining me now is the author of that rogue op-ed. Capitalist evangelist is how he is known. He's a fellow former VP nominee, and he is a man whose initials happen to spell war. Best-selling author of The Power of Relentless, Wayne Allyn Root. I am honored that you are here with us. Wayne, why is it that corporate media, the permanent political class, crony capitalists, why are they so doggone scared of the rising independent non-politicians running for office?
Well, first of all, I'm honored to be on with you, Sarah. I'm a big fan of you from the day that you made the vice presidential nomination for the GOP. We happen to run in the same year, by the way, 2008. And you know why I'm a fan of yours? The same reason I'm a fan of Donald Trump. And I think it describes me, too. Relentless. Relentless energy, relentless chutzpah, and relentlessly on offense. I don't let the liberals set my agenda. You never let them set your agenda. You were fantastic and on point at all times. And Donald Trump doesn't let them set his agenda. He's always on offense, and he's setting the agenda. And I think that scares liberals to death. I think it scares the media to death. I think it scares corporate interests to death. It scares the lobbyists and the lawyers to death. They don't like that kind of energy and that kind of chutzpah where you don't give a damn what the media says. They can call you a racist for telling the truth. They can call you anti-immigrant for telling the truth. They can call you right-wing extremist, even though I believe in 48 out of 50 states, more people call themselves conservatives than liberals. So how could we possibly be extremists? Liberals are the extremists. Statistics prove it. And then a guy like Trump tells you the border's a problem. And meanwhile, what happened since then? Countless murders since then. Illegals who were deported, came back in multiple times, killed someone. And how about this one? 1 million jobs created for women since the year 2008 in America, and all 1 million went to foreigners, and they won't break down the difference between foreigners here legally and illegally. So that basically means the entire American economy is now working for illegals. Donald Trump happens to be right about most of the things he's talking about, and I guess that's what scares the establishment so badly, just as you did, and just as many of the things I say do.
Yeah, absolutely, just as you do. I know you're a big sports fan, and I see the basketball, I see the football, I see that leather behind you. You talk about being on defense versus, come on, independents, get out there and be on offense. Wayne, can you win a ball game only playing defense?
Well, yeah, the best defense is, in my opinion, a great offense. You got to always keep the pressure on the other team. And so, you know, like last year, as an example, just by pure coincidence, you mentioned that I love sports, and my favorite team happens to be the Dallas Cowboys. I've been a Cowboy fan since I was 5 years old. And the Dallas Cowboys had a great year last year. They almost made it to the Super Bowl. They were 12-4. What did they do differently than all the years past? Well, their offense was a running machine. Great offensive line, great running back. They kept the ball. Their defense wasn't very good. By constantly being in control of the ball on offense, they kept the defense off the field, and they never had to worry about the defense. That's the way Republicans have got to play the political ball game. You know, we're the ones who have the great message, but unfortunately, Sarah, politics is about energy, and it's about salesmanship. And you've got to be able to sell your message. And we don't have the best salesman on our side. I've always felt Democrats have much easier message to sell and generally better salespeople. Donald Trump is a walking reality show. And I mean that only in the best of way, not in a negative way. But I believe you were a bit of a reality show. I'm a bit of a reality show. We say things in a way that the average person can understand. We speak in terms of common sense. We don't speak like intellectuals over people's heads. You know what you call that? Selling a great message. Ronald Reagan did that. That's why I always liked you, Sarah. I felt you were a female Ronald Reagan. I think Donald Trump has a lot of Ronald Reagan-like qualities, and that always scares the media. When I was in college in 1979 through 83 at Columbia University, guess what I heard day and night? Reagan was an idiot. Reagan was a clown. Reagan was incompetent. Reagan should never be president. He was a B-movie actor who played second fiddle to a chimp. And what did Reagan become? One of the greatest presidents in American history, right up there with Lincoln and George Washington and anyone else you could think of that was one of the greatest ever. Probably the greatest of the last century was my boy Ronald Reagan. So you got to ignore what the liberal intellectuals say at Harvard and Columbia because they don't know anything.
Well, you invoke Abraham Lincoln. He used to say, too, all of that noise, all of that unconstructive criticism around him, he would remind people to ignore that because that is all it is a noise, so to push through. And that was so admirable about Ronald Reagan. He was able to put that aside and just take care of the tasks at hand. Also love, Wayne, that you do invoke sports. Sports are a metaphor for life. Right. And for politics. And when you talk about the salesmanship, too, and the competition, everything that is needed to build the team and to sell the message and to be able to lead, a lot of that is in your book, The Power of Relentless. And you have 7 steps that teach us how to excel even at that tactic of selling a message. Explain some of that.
Well, you know, it's funny, Sarah, because my book is not a political book. My last one, The Murder of the Middle Class, definitely a political book, explaining what Obama is doing to this country, just destroying capitalism and American exceptionalism, the U.S. economy, jobs, Judeo-Christian values. All of it's being destroyed by Obama, and I don't believe it's a mistake. I don't believe he's incompetent. I believe it's a plan. That plan was hatched at Columbia University when we went there together. My last book before that was The Ultimate Obama Survival Guide. Also political. This one, Power of Relentless, is not political, yet it applies to politics. If you're relentless and you have relentless chutzpah, relentless energy, relentless enthusiasm, a relentless offense at all times, I think you could win in anything in life. Business, relationships, or politics. And the example I used in my book was a political one. It was Obama, believe it or not. He is relentless. John Boehner is not. Mitch McConnell is not. The Republican leadership is not. Here's my example of how relentless works in the real world. Barack Obama had an agenda to destroy this economy and to kill capitalism and to make Americans dependent on welfare and government. He lost in a landslide last November, an historic landslide. He was repudiated. His own Democratic Senate candidates refused to stand on a stage with Barack Obama last election season. He should have been embarrassed and hid in the White House for the last 2 years and never showed his face again. And instead, the people that won, the Republicans, have been on defense forevermore since that day. We've gotten nothing we want. We've never stood in his way. We've never stopped him. We've never slowed him. And we won in a landslide. He lost in a landslide. He's gotten everything he wanted from that day on. You name the issue, Barack Obama has won it in Congress. He's won it on the budget. He's won it with executive actions. Unbelievable.
Well, we're looking at this issue of crony capitalism, and you tackle that issue, and we realize that 7 of the 10 richest counties in the country, they surround Washington, D.C., which is indicative of that power of crony capitalists. I love it when you talk about this issue because you know what will happen to those crony capitalists if someone like a Trump, an outsider, is finally elected. What do you think?
Well, what drives me crazy, Sarah, is so many guests on the Fox Newses of the world and so many Republican politicians are not in the real world. You know, you're a citizen politician. That's what I liked about you. I'm a citizen politician. I'm a small businessman. I make my living out there in the real world, and I know what's going on. And I've been arguing for 7 years under Obama that the economy is a nightmare. The stock market is not representative of the American economy, although the last 2 weeks it probably is down 2,000 points. It's finally starting to hit reality what's going on. But my belief is that the entire economy has been built for the richest and the poorest who vote for Obama for president. He wants them to remain loyal, so he makes sure that the welfare checks keep coming. And then the richest among us who write gigantic donation checks to Democratic politicians like Obama. But everyone in the middle has been abandoned, and Main Street's been abandoned, and small business has been abandoned. I'm out here, and I'm telling you, it's horrible out here, and all the statistics you hear are gamed. There are no new jobs unless you want to clean toilet bowls or mow lawns. But other than that, there are no jobs under Obama that pay a good wage, and the GDP is horrendous. I don't know if you know this stat, Sarah, but if the GDP is below 3% this year, which will absolutely be far below 3%, Obama is the first president in the history of America, including Hoover, during the depths of the Great Depression, to ever have 7 straight years below 3% GDP.
Well, yeah, it's a lot of BS that we're getting out of the White House, this administration, as they're giving us these bogus numbers. So you keep setting people straight. Keep it up. Get out there as often as possible, Wayne. We need your voice. Thank you for your boldness. Thank you for speaking up and for joining us today. Thank you. So.